Let's begin on our backs. So, finding a comfortable seated position and rolling down one vertebra at a time until we reach the back. Settling into our space here for a moment, taking a deep breath in and letting it go. Finding a comfortable position here on the back for the first moments of our class together. So you might keep feet flat on the floor, knees pointed up toward the ceiling. You might also walk feet out to the edges of your mat and let those knees fall in together, taking a little bit of pressure off the low back. Another option is to bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall wide into reclined bound angle pose. Softening the brow, softening the jaw, allowing the shoulders to melt into the mat, softening the heart, softening the belly, softening the glutes, inviting a gentle relaxation into the body here, allowing the breath to slow, feeling the points of contact between your body and your mat, the earth, allowing your body to feel heavy on the mat here, finding a sense of groundedness in this moment. Taking a moment to set an intention for today's class. Perhaps the intention to allow the mind and the body to unstick, release something, anything that's ready to go today. Drawing attention to the breath, allowing the breath to bring you further into the body here. And throughout today's class, we want to allow our breath to be our guide. We like the breath to be easy to flow through each of our postures. If you notice that your breath is feeling ragged or you're holding the breath, if you begin to notice that your nervous system is revving up, if you begin to feel at all triggered or uncomfortable during today's class, please give yourself full permission to back out of any pose that does not feel good for your body and to either take a modification, or return to a safe posture for you. A safe posture might be an easy seat. It might be here in Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined bound ankle pose. It might be child's pose or shavasana. Really making this class work for your body, for your system today. The goal is to find an equanimous balance between ease and effort, rather than to push past our edge. Let's begin our practice with a few rounds of Vishama Vritti, unequal breathing. If it feels comfortable and supportive, You might bring both hands to the belly, or one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart. With this breathing practice, this pranayama practice, we will inhale for 5, and then we'll hold at the top for 4, and we'll exhale for a count of 8. So having that exhale lengthened from the inhale will help to stimulate rest and digest mode, the parasympathetic nervous system, and bring us into a deeper state of calm and restoration. Taking a full inhale and exhaling completely. Beginning now, inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, holding at the top, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling, hold, exhale. Inhaling, hold, exhaling. Once more in, hold, and exhale. And now releasing that breathing pattern, allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm. Feeling the body here in this moment, feeling the hands, feeling the feet, feeling the points of contact between the body and the mat, the earth. Preparing now to move into our physical practice. If you're in reclined bound angle, bringing hands to the outside of the knees, helping the knees to close, bringing feet flat on the floor with knees pointed directly up towards the ceiling. You might want to have your feet spread hip width apart here. And we'll begin with today's class. Our focus today will be awakening the spine. So let's begin with a few gentle pelvic tilts, tilting the pelvis forward as if you were tucking the tailbone back and tilting the pelvis the other direction. Taking a few slow pelvic tilts here. Hands can be by the sides or on the hips as a tactile experience of the pelvic tilting. If our pelvis was the face of a clock, we're moving between the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock positions here. Gently tilting forward and back as we begin to awaken this low spine. Taking a few more rounds of this practice and coming to neutral spine. And now tilting the pelvis from side to side. On that clock, we're going from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Sorry, 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Awakening the spine, the sacrum, the low back here. Working out a little bit of stickiness, tension, especially for those of us who do a lot of standing and sitting. And coming to neutral. Now let's combine those and do a few circles around the outside of that clock face with our pelvis. So you can choose whichever direction feels best for you now, starting at the 12 o'clock and beginning to move the pelvis in a gentle circle around the outside of that clock face, metaphorically speaking, sensing into the areas that are especially sticky or tender, keeping the movement as small or making it as big as feels comfortable for your body today. And the next time you come to that 12 o'clock position, reversing directions and taking pelvic circles the other way around that clock face. Again, sensing into the spots that feel sticky, tender, taking it at your own pace. And as you complete this next circle, coming back to neutral, allowing now your knees to drop to the right, bringing them through center, dropping to the left, allowing the windshield wiping of this low back for a few rounds, continuing to awaken and unstick the ever important spine, this part of our body that supports us through literally everything we do. And coming back to center, drawing both knees into the chest, taking a few rocks from side to side, just noticing how the back feels, especially that low back after a little bit of loosening and waking up there. And allowing now the knees to fall to the right, looking over the left shoulder, taking a gentle spinal twist here. And drawing the knees back through center, perhaps rocking back and forth a couple of times. And then dropping knees to the left, looking over the right shoulder now. Breathing into any sticky spots you find, those tender areas, inviting new oxygen, new prana, new life force into those parts of the body. And drawing back through center, rocking back and forth a couple of times if that feels good for you. Dropping both feet to the mat, hands come long beside the body, feet are hip width apart. And we'll take a few rounds of slow, gentle bridge here. So beginning to roll the spine, lifting the hips toward the sky, one vertebra at a time, engaging the glutes, the backs of the legs, and rolling down, one vertebra at a time. Taking that again, gently, one bone at a time, lifting hips to the sky, and exhaling, unwinding back to the mat. And one last time, bridging up on the inhale And releasing slowly, melting back to the mat on the exhale. Stretching now, legs long, arms long, taking a nice long full body stretch, and then walking feet over to the left side of the mat, perhaps crossing that right ankle over the left, and walking hands over to the left side of the mat, taking a nice banana stretch here. Continuing to open up a bit through the hips and the side body. And coming back through center, taking a nice long stretch. And walking feet over to the right side, perhaps hooking that left ankle over the right. Walking those hands, those arms to the right side of the mat. And breathing into the left side body here. And coming back through center, taking that nice long stretch. Rolling now to your left side or your right side. You can start on any side that feels good to you. Using the arm as a pillow. And you might want to bend your knees here for an added layer of stability. Taking the top hand and grasping the calf, shin, ankle, toes, whatever is accessible to you today, beginning to open that leg up, sole of the foot toward the sky, hand to toe pose in this infinity position. Breathing into the back of the leg, the calf, the foot. Knee can be bent here. This is really about finding the posture that works best for your body. And now bending the knee, and if it's accessible to you, grasping the top of the foot, or perhaps the calf, or even behind the thigh, and taking a little hip opener here on the side, breathing deeply into that hip. And releasing that posture, rolling onto your back. We'll take a gentle bridge pose here to just neutralize the spine. So inhaling, rolling hips up toward the sky, one vertebra at a time. And exhaling, rolling down one vertebra at a time before we move on to the second side. So turning now to your second side, the pillow, bending that bottom knee if it feels good for you, reaching for the shin, ankle, foot, or toes, and opening that leg up to the sky, sole of the foot toward the sky. Breathing into the back of that leg, of course, bending the knee as much as is needed to make this comfortable for your body. And bending the knee, grasping the shin, ankle, or foot, and taking a gentle hip posture. And now pressing up to seated. Finding a comfortable seated position. So if it works for you to be cross-legged, meeting me here in a cross-legged position, you might sit up on a blanket or a block or a cushion, anything that feels good for your body. If it feels better to be legs extended, totally fine. If it feels better to just sit on a chair, that's also totally fine. Finding the posture that works for your body in this moment today, meeting yourself where you are. So let's take a couple of warm ups here, dropping chin to the chest and just circling that head from side to side, awakening the neck and coming back through center, dropping right ear to right shoulder, walking those left fingers out to the side, perhaps taking a few turns of the neck. And if you find a spot that feels particularly juicy, breathing into that spot and coming through center, dropping left ear to left shoulder, walking those right fingers out, perhaps turning the head a few times, breathing into any really sticky or juicy places we find. And coming back through center, taking a few shoulder rolls to the back and shoulder rolls forward. Circling the wrists one direction and the other direction. Dropping now left hand to the mat, reaching right arm up and over, breathing into that right side body. And inhaling, dropping right hand to the mat, reaching left arm up and over, breathing into that left side body. And coming back through center, bringing left hand to the right knee, bringing that right hand behind you, taking a gentle twist, looking over the right shoulder, not wrenching the spine, simply going as deeply into the twist as is comfortable without pushing. And coming back through center, let's take that on the other side. Right hand to left knee, left hand comes behind, looking over that left shoulder. And coming back through center. Bringing now soles of the feet together. If this is a comfortable position for you for recline or for a seated bound angle, you can bring those feet fairly far away from you, making a nice big diamond, whatever feels best for you. It really depends on how open your hips are feeling today. I know mine are feeling particularly tight on this Friday afternoon. So bringing hands to the ankles or the calves, drawing the spine up long, opening the heart, and on an exhale, beginning to hinge forward at the hips as though we could bring the heart to the toes. And once we have gotten as far down, as close to those toes as we're going to get, walking the hands forward and releasing into the pose for a moment. Walking both hands over to the left side, breathing into the right side body, letting that right hip remain heavy on the mat, and walking through center, coming to the left side, breathing into over to the right side, breathing into the left side body, and allowing that left hip to remain heavy on the mat. And coming back to center, coming back to seated. And now returning to your comfortable seated position, you might switch the cross of your legs if you would like. And we'll take a few seated cat-cows. So, seated cow, opening heart to the sky, inhaling and exhaling, arching the spine, tucking chin to the chest. Taking a few rounds of this. Inhaling cow, exhaling cat. Inhaling cow, exhaling cat. Inhaling cow and exhaling cat. And now let's take a few rolls with the torso. So instead of moving directly from cow to cat or cat to cow, taking a little bit of a torso roll here. So it's almost like we're combining the pelvic circles from the beginning of class with our cat-cow pose, allowing the spine to continue to awaken. And when you complete your next circle, reversing directions, making a few circles the other way. And coming through center. And now, making your way onto all fours into table. Hands under the wrists, fingers are spread wide, looking for lots of visibility of our mat in between those fingers. Knees are under the hips, toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels good for you today, and drawing the navel into the spine, protecting that back. And we'll continue to awaken that spine here. So let's take a few rounds of cat-cow here on our hands and knees, inhaling to cow, opening that heart forward, looking up, exhaling cat. Inhaling cow, exhaling cat. Inhaling cow, exhaling cat. And coming back to neutral. Peeking over that left shoulder at your left hip. And coming through center, peeking over the right shoulder at the right hip. Taking a few rounds of this side body opener here. Sending the breath slow and deep into those sticky places. And coming back through center with a neutral spine. So now we'll take those body rolls that we took while we were seated in this position. So This can look however you want it to look. It doesn't have to be pretty, but it sure does feel good. So, beginning to circle the hips, circling the heart, just kind of finding a fluid motion here. You can sit all the way back toward child pose and come through almost a puppy dog pose. This is really just about feeling into your body and finding what feels good for you. And at the top of your next circle, let's reverse directions. And now bringing big toes to touch, knees are open wide, sitting the hips back, stretching the arms forward, bringing head to the mat for child's pose. Allowing the hips to be heavy, breathing into the hips, allowing spine to relax here. And coming back through table, reaching right arm forward, left toes behind you. You might lift those left toes off the floor in spinal balance. And returning right hand, left foot to the floor. We'll take that on the other side. So stepping right toes back, left arm forward, perhaps lifting those right toes off the floor, drawing the spine long. And returning left hand, right foot to the floor, taking spinal balance once more on the other side. And if it is available and feels good, you might bend the knee and reach the arm behind to grasp that foot, that ankle, looking over the shoulder, the right shoulder, at those left toes. And meeting back in balancing table, returning hand and knee to the floor, extending right toes behind, left arm forward, perhaps lifting those right toes off the floor, and if you would like, reaching back for those toes, looking over the shoulder. And returning to balancing table and to table. And now we're going to take hill pose, as I like to call it, which is a kneeling mountain pose. So on the knees here, if you would like to have a blanket beneath your knees, please feel free. A little extra cushion. Inhaling the arms up, spine is long, chin neutral, spine long. Taking right hand to left wrist and stretching out that left side body for a little half moon here. Inhaling through center and half moon on the left side, left hand to right wrist now. And inhaling through center, bringing hands to the hips. Now we will take gate pose. So stepping that right foot out, bringing the left hand to the mat beside us, reaching right arm up and over. Breathing into that right side body. And coming back through center, let's swap that out now. Take it on the other side. So stepping right toes out, left toes out, hand comes to the mat on the right side, sweeping left arm up and over, breathing into that left side body now. And inhaling through center, returning to hill once more, sweeping arms up above the head, drawing the spine long, and returning to table on all fours. Stepping now the right foot forward into low lunge. So stacking that knee on top of the ankle, taking a couple of bends here to lubricate the knee joint, and letting the hips grow heavy into this low lunge. Breathing into the hips, deep, slow breaths. And exhaling, sitting back into a gentle half split. That front knee can be bent if that feels better for you. Breathing into the back of this leg, allowing it to open here for a moment. And coming back through low lunge, inhaling, right arm up to the sky, inhaling into this twist. And exhaling, hands to the mat, stepping that right foot back, stepping left foot forward into low lunge, allowing the hips to grow heavy here. Perhaps bending and straightening that leg a couple of times, and then really sinking into this low lunge, breathing into the hips. And exhaling, sitting back into a half split, breathing deeply into the back of that leg as it opens. And exhaling back into that low lunge, planting the right hand and inhaling, left hand to the sky. Inhaling deeply as though we could fill the hips with fresh oxygen. Gazing up at that thumb if it's available to you, if it feels better. Keeping the gaze down or to the side also absolutely works here, allowing this to work for your body. And bringing left hand back to the mat, returning to table. And for this next little short flow, I am going to use a blanket for part of the flow. You might want to have a blanket or a pillow or a cushion, a block, if your knees are feeling tender today. So, coming through table, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, spine is long, navel drawn into the spine to protect the back. Let's inhale to cow, exhale to cat. Really puffing up through the shoulder blades here. Inhale through cow. And on the exhale, we will tuck our toes and send our hips up to the sky for downward facing dog. Pressing strongly through hands, allowing heels to melt to the mat, taking a few breaths here in down dog. And exhaling, returning to table. Inhaling, right arm up to the sky, and exhaling, threading the needle, bringing right wrist behind left wrist, right shoulder, right ear to the mat, walking left hand out in front, breathing into that shoulder. And inhaling, right arm back up to the sky, right hand to the mat, lifting left arm to the sky, threading the needle on this side now. Left shoulder, left ear to the mat, right arm reaches forward. And inhaling, left arm up to the sky, returning to table. Sitting the hips back into child's pose. You might want to bring that blanket or cushion to support your seat here, protect the knees. And now let's slowly, one vertebra at a time, roll up to a seated position. Head is the last to come up. And with an inhale, we'll sweep our arms up and back, bringing them behind us on the mat. And leaning back, perhaps lifting the hips for a chest opener. And coming back through seated, inhaling arms up to the sky. Exhaling, taking a side bend to the left. Inhaling through center. Side bending to the right. And inhaling through center. Now we're going to take that flow a few more times, a little bit faster. So, inhaling to cow, exhaling cat. Inhaling cow, exhaling downward facing dog. Inhaling table, exhaling here. Inhale, right arm sky, exhale, thread the needle. Inhale, right arm sky, exhale, table. Inhale, left arm, exhale, thread the needle. Inhale, left arm, exhale, table. Inhale, table, and exhale, child's. Rolling up to seated, perhaps grabbing your little cushion here. Inhaling, arms up and back. Exhaling, shoulder, hip opener. Inhaling, seated, arms to the sky. Exhaling, side bend left. Inhaling up. Exhaling, side bend right. Inhaling up. And exhaling to table. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, table. Exhale, hold. Inhale, right arm to the sky. Exhale, thread that needle. Inhale, right arm to the sky. Exhale, table. Inhale, left arm to the sky. Exhale, thread that needle. Inhale, left arm to the sky. Exhale, table. Inhale, table. Exhale, child's. Inhale, rolling up one vertebra at a time. Exhale, spine long. Inhale, arms up and behind. Exhale, chest and hip opener. Inhale, back to seated, arms above the head. Exhale, side bend. Inhale through center. Exhale, side bend. Inhale through center and exhale to table. And we'll do that one last time. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, table. Exhale, hold. Inhale, right arm. Exhale, thread the needle. Inhale, up. Exhale, table. Inhale, left. Exhale, thread the needle. Inhale, up. Exhale, table. Inhale here and exhale to child's pose. Inhale, rolling up one vertebra at a time. Inhale, spine long. And we're going to inhale, arms up and back. Exhale, chest and hip opener. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, side bend left. Inhale through center and exhale, side bend right. Inhale through center. And coming back to table. And now that we have completed our flow, let's take a little bit of prone work on our mat before we return to our backs. So from table, stepping into a plank, so either just bringing those knees back a little bit or tucking the toes and lifting hips up to plank, taking a breath here. And as we exhale, knees to the mat, lowering all the way to our belly. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Taking a deep breath in and a breath out. On the next inhale, peeling chest up off the mat. Exhaling here. Inhaling here. Exhaling, releasing. Bringing now hands to meet one another behind the back or bringing hands by the sides, whatever feels best for you. Feet can be together or can be about hip width apart. And on the next inhale, raising forehead, chest, feet, and legs off the floor. Locust pose. And bringing hands under the shoulders, coming through table, sitting the hips back for a quick child's pose here. Just neutralizing the spine after those back bends. And coming back to table. Let's step our right foot forward once more into that low lunge, letting those hips fall heavy forward on the mat. And now walking right foot out to the edge of the mat, bringing right hand inside the foot, and letting that knee fall open for lizard. Yeah. Coming down onto the forearms if that feels good for you. If it doesn't, no worries. Stay where it feels good. Breathing into those hips, pressing up if you're down, walking that foot in a bit, planting the left hand and taking one last twist here in this low lunge on this side. And coming back through table, stepping now the left foot forward, letting those hips be heavy on the mat. And walking the left foot out to the outside of the mat, bringing left hand inside that foot, allowing the left hip to open to the side, coming down on the forearms if that feels good for you. And coming back up, walking that foot in, planting the right hand, inhaling, left arm up to the sky, twisting open. One last time on this side. And coming back through table. If it feels good, feel free to take one last child's pose here. And we'll make our way onto our backs, drawing knees into the chest, perhaps rocking side to side for a moment. Stretching left leg long on the mat, drawing that right knee into the right armpit. And drawing left knee into the chest, reaching right leg long now, drawing left knee in toward the armpit. Hugging both knees into the chest, dropping feet to the mat, rolling the hips up for one last bridge pose here, holding at the top, really feeling the strength of the glutes, the legs, the back, the whole back body, and melting back down to the mat, one vertebra at a time. Crossing left ankle over the right knee. If it feels comfortable, drawing that entire shape in toward the chest. Getting a little hip opener here in this figure four, getting into the piriformis, the outer hip. And now crossing that left knee over the right, allowing the knees to drop to the right, looking over the left shoulder. And coming back through center, hugging knees into the chest. And we'll take that on the second side. So crossing right ankle on top of left knee, drawing that entire shape in toward the chest. Breathing into that outer hip. And crossing that right knee over the left, allowing the knees to fall to the left, looking over that right shoulder. And drawing knees back through center one last time, rocking back and forth. Taking any last movements that your body is asking for today before stretching legs long on the mat, arms come to lie long beside you, allowing the toes to drop open, allowing the eyes to close for final resting pose, Shavasana. Feeling the points of contact between your body and the mat, the sweet earth. Allowing your body to melt into the mat with each exhale, thus allowing the yoga to melt into you, integrating today's practice to all aspects of our being. Perhaps in these last few moments of our class together, imagining that the spine was a conduit for the breath, that the breath might travel up and down the spine on our inhale and exhale. Perhaps imagining or visualizing the breath traveling down the spine all the way to the sacrum, the tailbone on the inhale, and traveling back up to the very top of the spine where it meets the skull on the exhale. Seeing the ease, the facility, the fluidity of this breath, bringing rejuvenation, restoration, health, and longevity to our sweet spines, this part of our body that supports us through so much. Perhaps offering gratitude to the spine, offering gratitude to the body for supporting you through this practice, offering gratitude to yourself for making this time to reset and restore today. And now, beginning to awaken through the fingers and the toes, perhaps taking a long stretch on your mat, taking a deep breath in and letting it go. Turning to your favorite side, cradling your head with the arm. Pressing up to seated. Taking a deep breath in here, letting it go. Feeling the body here in this moment. Thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. I am honored to be here with you, and I hope to see you again next month.